Yeah, he's always said that. He'll even come outside and play football with the kids or play games with the kids, and he says it's fine.
Yesterday, there was some cops over there, and they're like, you're coming this way.
But Susan found this unacceptable. The field was either hers or no one else's, and she had already made preparations to act if things went south. Prior to this interaction, Susan had begun fearing for her life. She purchased a Remington RM380 as, allegedly, the children were threatening to kill her, and soon enough, she'd get her chance to use it. On June 2nd, 2023, two of Ajike's children, aged 10 and 12, were once again playing in the same grass field. At 8:54 p.m., a 911 dispatcher received a call from Susan reporting this trespassing. Deputies from the Marion County Sheriff's Office were now mobilized, and the call lasted 5 minutes, ending at 8:59 p.m. Either before or during this call, Susan threw a set of rollerblades at the children, which hit one of them on the toe, all the while calling them racial slurs. When the kids notified Ajike about this, she immediately ran over to Susan's house and began banging on her door, presumably seconds after the initial 911 call ended. Amidst the yelling and banging is when Susan retrieved her RM380 from a trash bin in the corner of her house, aimed the gun at the door just high enough to make sure it would miss any vital spots, and at 9:01 p.m., a single gunshot echoed throughout the neighborhood. Approximately 9:08 p.m., deputies arrived at the scene and discovered the victim with a gun wound on her chest. 30 minutes later, at 9:34 p.m., Ajike was pronounced dead, and Susan was placed into custody.
Okay, I understand.
Come over here.
Oh, wait, please close the door. I have two cats inside.
Hold on.
One of the cats still running around.
While Susan was arrested, one major issue remained. She could get away scot-free with everything because of Florida's Stand Your Ground law. Florida's Stand Your Ground law states that a person is justified in using or threatening to use force, except deadly force, against another when and to the extent that the person reasonably believes that such conduct is necessary to defend himself or herself or another against the other's imminent use of unlawful force. Susan was a master manipulator and knew about this law all too well. Now, it was up to the detectives to make her reveal her true intentions and prevent her from hiding behind a law meant for self-defense, not for murder.
So nothing that happened that night that you didn't remember at the time, or you just, like I said, there was a lot going on that you maybe didn't think to say?
I don't know what to tell you because I thought I told you everything.
Okay, all right. So some of the things, like I said, we were just trying to clarify because we were in the room together for a while talking, and we went over a lot of different things. So one of the things I wanted to clarify with you is and try to understand better is when Ajike was at the door, when she approached the door, when was it that you realized that it was her coming to the door?
Because I said, who's there?
Okay, how did you know someone was there initially? Was it because...
It was a huge banging.
Okay.
They were just pounding at that door.
Okay. So initially, there was no words, it was just the pounding?
Yeah.
That's what started the interaction there?
Yes.
And where was the pounding at initially, where it first began?
The front door.
At the front door?
Yes.
Okay. How many times did she was it just like one or
No,
several?
it was just bang, bang, bang,
Okay.
bang.
All right, and then you said you asked her who's there? Okay. And what was said then?
I think she said, why do you speak to my children this way? And I said, listen, I'm not going to speak to you. Go away. You know, if she had a problem, she should have called you guys. You know, honestly. I mean, if she really thought there was something seriously wrong, I don't understand why she just came over and just started pounding on my door and, you know, screaming and yelling. So.
And then what happened after you said to go away?
To go away, and then it got quiet for a bit. And then she started really banging, you know, just pounding on that door. Okay. She was relentless.
How long is a bit, would you say?
I don't know,
like
because
5, 10 seconds or 2 minutes? Or?
It was an extended period of time, probably 20 to 30 seconds, easily.
But during that time, you didn't hear anything else? Did you think she went away?
No, well, I obviously knew she didn't go away because she was screaming while she was pounding.
Describe that. When you say screaming, describe what does that mean?
She was just, you're not supposed to speak to my children this way. Why did you, you know, and then she was saying, I'm going to kill you.
This is in fact a lie.
But all I heard was knocking and then a gunshot. That's it. No fighting, none of that.
But you didn't actually see anything?
No, sir.
No? Okay.
From this testimony and several others that were not recorded, it was crystal clear Ajike had made no death threats and said nothing which implied that she would kill Susan. This pattern of
called you guys.
Ajike was pronounced dead, and Susan was placed into custody.
Okay, I understand.
Come over here.
Oh, wait, please close the door. I have two cats inside.
Hold on.
I want the cats to run.
While Susan was arrested, one major issue remained. She could get away scot-free with everything because of Florida's Stand Your Ground law. Florida's Stand Your Ground law states that a person is justified in using or threatening to use force, except deadly force, against another when and to the extent that the person reasonably believes that such conduct is necessary to defend himself or herself or another against the other's imminent use of unlawful force. Susan was a master manipulator and knew about this law all too well. Now, it was up to the detectives to make her reveal her true intentions and prevent her from hiding behind a law meant for self-defense, not for murder.
So nothing that happened that night that you didn't remember at the time, or you just, like I said, there was a lot going on that you maybe didn't think to
I don't
just
know what
say.
to tell you because I thought I told you everything.
Okay, all right. So some of the things, like I said, we were just trying to clarify because we were in the room together for a while talking, and we went over a lot of different things. So one of the things I wanted to clarify with you is and try to understand better is when Ajiko was at the door, when she approached the door, when was it that you realized that it was her coming to the door?
Because I said, who's there?
Okay, how did you know someone was there initially? Was it
There
because?
was a huge banging.
Okay.
Just pounding at that door.
Okay. So initially, there was no words, it was just the pounding?
Yeah.
That's what started
Yes.
the interaction there?
Yes.
And where was the pounding at initially, where it first began?
The front door.
At the front door?
Yes.
Okay. How many times did she was it just like
It was
one, or
no,
was
no,
it
no. It was
several?
just bang, bang, bang.
Okay.
Bang.
All right. And then you said
Who's
you asked her
there?
who's
Yeah.
there? Okay. And what was said then?
I think
Domination,
she said,
a mix of attack
why
and
you speak
defense.
my children this
Engage
way?
responsibly.
And I said, listen, I'm not going to speak to you. Go away. You know, if she had a problem, she should have called you guys. You know,
3,
honestly.
2,
I mean, if she really thought there was something seriously
Secure the
wrong, I
capture zones and
understand why she just
neutralize the
came over
opposing
and
force.
just started
Friendly
pounding on the
securing
door,
zone
you know,
C.
screaming and yelling. So.
And then what happened after you said
Zone
to
is
go
ours.
away?
Go away, and then it got quiet for a bit, and then she started really pounding, you know, just pounding on that door.
How long was it, would you say? Like 5, 10 seconds, or 2 minutes?
It was
on
an
zone
extended
B.
period of time, probably 20 to 30 seconds,
Okay.
easily.
But during that time, you didn't hear anything else? Did you think she went away?
You're right, I obviously knew she would go away because she was screaming while she was pounding.
Describe that, when you say screaming, describe what does that mean?
She was just, you're not supposed to speak to my children this way, why did you, you know, and then she was saying, I'm gonna kill you.
This is in fact a lie.
So all I heard was knocking and then a gunshot. That's it. No fighting, none of that.
But you didn't actually see anything?
No, sir.
No? Okay.
From this testimony and several others that were not recorded, it was crystal clear Ajike had made no death threats and said nothing which implied that she would kill Susan. This pattern of half-truths is something we'd see throughout this entire interrogation.
Zone B.
In reality, they are all a part of Susan's sickening plan to save herself. However, we'd only find out what exactly that plan is as detectives continue to speak to her.
And I'm like, holy shit, you know, and that's when
Well, when you said there was like the initial barrage of the pounding, and you said who's there, and she said, you know, what you said about not talking to her children that way.
Yeah.
And then you said it got quiet. So there was no banging, there was no words being
no,
said.
because I thought she went away.
That's what I was asking, Lisa. I'm sorry if I...
No, it's okay. I thought, all right, she's just gonna do whatever she wants to
And
do.
you said that was like 30 seconds.
Yeah.
And then did she start yelling again first, or was there more banging?
It was banging, it was yelling. I thought she was just gonna break down the door.
Okay.
So, I mean, my heart was pounding, and I was like, she's really gonna kill me.
Okay,
That's
so
all I felt.
when she first came up and started, where were you when she started the
I
beating?
was
The
in the
very first time?
bathroom.
You were in the bathroom when she started beating?
Combat's
And did you come
underway,
to the door
operator.
and-
Secure
Well, I
all
was approaching
zones.
the door, and then she started screaming, and I knew who it was.
Okay.
So that's it, I'm not opening this door.
Okay.
And because I figured if she came in, she'd be just absolutely, you know, pounding into the ground.
All right, and then when it became silent, after that first round of beating on your door, where were you at then? Did you go over?
Honestly. Because I didn't know he was at the door, and I was like, no.
defense hours.
Okay. So I didn't have that much.
Okay.
Activating defense
So that's
system.
during the time where it was kind of quiet, you thought that maybe she went away. Okay. And when the banging and yelling started again, where were you out
On
there?
zone B.
I was
Engage.
in the kitchen.
Okay. All right, and then what happened?
And then she just kept banging and yelling. I'm like, you need to leave. You're trespassing. Get off my porch. You know, get out of here. You know, I'm not talking to you. Leave.
Okay. Who else was outside the door besides Ezra? You don't know. Where were the other kids? Because I know the kids had been over there prior to her coming over. Or?
They were right by the, you know, the fences, and then there's a sidewalk. They were right beyond that sidewalk, inside where it's supposed to be no trespassing.
Okay, so they were outside of the fence while she was banging on the door?
I have no idea.
Oh, you're not sure?
I have no idea.
Okay.
I didn't know you would ask me when kids were there. And the kids finally, you know, I went inside. I figured they left.
So you didn't know who else was out there at that time? Okay. So you went to the kitchen and she was still pounding on the door and yelling. And I know we've kind of gone over this a lot, but I want to make sure now we're getting more like in order of things, because the first time we talked, it was kind of just like it all came out all at once. And now that you've had a little bit of time to kind of think about things that happened again and try to get it in a good order that things happen, because it's very important to be able to say, okay, this happened first, this is what happened next, so that we don't get confused. So after that initial silence where, I wouldn't say silence, but it got quiet, you were washing your hands in the bathroom, and then the pounding and the yelling started again, and you went to the kitchen. What were you doing in the kitchen?
I was looking for my phone.
Okay.
So I put my phone down somewhere, and I started panicking. I started searching for the phone, and then she just kept banging and banging and banging. I'm gonna kill you, I'm gonna kill you, you know, get out of here. I had nowhere to go. I mean, I was in the kitchen. There was the sliders, and the sliders always locked, and just that one door, so there was no escape.
Okay.
I couldn't leave. I couldn't get out of there. I was like, Jesus Christ! And she was pounding so hard, and she was just banging and banging, screaming at me, telling me, "I'm gonna kill you! I'm gonna kill you!" I'm like, she's really gonna kill me this time. That's all I kept thinking. She's literally gonna come in this house and kill me.
Friendlies are winning. Press the advantage.
After I shot it, I just started searching the house frantically until I found it, and I wanted to make sure that I called and say, you know, I shot.
Zone compromised.
Where was your phone?
It was in my computer.
In the computer room?
So, let me just understand this a little better, because I'm not really sure. So, the woman that got shot, what is her name? AJ. Right, it's AJ. Okay, and how long have you known her?
Orders are to take all the zones and keep them secure.
You know, she was a neighbor across the street.
Okay, so how long has she been a neighbor across the street from you? How many years in that?
A year and a half, 2 years.
Okay, a year and a half and 2 years. And in that year and a half and 2 years, how many times have you guys been able to talk?
We never talked. It's more like screaming.
Okay, all right. So maybe better would we communicate. How many times have you guys been able to communicate in that year and a half and 2 years?
2 or 3 times.
2 or 3 times. And in those 2 or 3 times over a year and a half and 2 years, what were you guys screaming about? What were you guys communicating about?
She would take a door and walk it on my sidewalk to make sure there's shit on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
You know, well, this is you can walk and take your animal, you're gonna come here. And she
Sure.
said, it's the only place my dog will go to the bathroom.
Okay. So,
No, I don't think so.
okay, so you guys would have a disagreement regarding that, some screaming regarding the dog pooping where it shouldn't. What else would you guys communicate about in that 2 or 3 times?
For one time, she was telling me neighbors, and she said, oh, that picture of me is
High
crazy.
confidence in a successful outcome.
I'm not gonna, you know, sorry. I walked over, I said,
Speed
"What is
and
your problem?"
danger.
And she just went on a tirade. I have never heard someone scream like this. Mom.
Zone
I was like,
contested.
Jesus Christ.
Uh-huh.
And I mean, she exploded. And I'm like, oh shit.
How long ago was that?
2 months ago. 2 or 3 months ago. And then she was saying I called the kids all kinds of names. And I'm like, no, I didn't. And then why I said no, I didn't want her. And she got violent. I'm like, you know, we just back up saying this, I'll apologize. And scurry away.
What kind of things was she saying that you called her kids?
I called them racial slurs, and it's never happened.
The incident that Susan is referring to happened on April 17th, 2 months prior to the shooting, where Marion deputies were called because Ajike's children were playing in a parking lot.
They need to be trespassed the hell out of here.
So what I'm looking at, where they're at, we can't trespass anybody from that location. The
issue is that
He's trespassing.
he came over to come ask us a question.
Regardless of what Susan says, the man is not trespassing and can't approach him.
Because we were all playing here. Young kids, everything jump over. All right, let's go. And she's like, hey, you know what? One day you guys are gonna die. And I'm like, and that's when I like, whoa.
I'm getting too much feedback on the phone from the door. Can you please go someplace where he's not barking? Please. I'm getting too much feedback. I can't hear my door. Tapping.
It's a dog. You can't stop the dog from barking.
Yeah, but too much feedback. Can you please at least go someplace?
Yeah, that's, I mean, that's,
All right, well, you have a good one. Apparently, we can't stay in here and have a conversation.
This conversation would provide invaluable insight into Susan's narcissistic tendencies, where she manipulates information after becoming hyper-aggressive in an attempt to make her seem innocent.
We spoke to everyone in the neighborhood separately. Was there other times when you got frustrated or something with these kids and you said something else that we're not talking about? I mean, have you said other words to them or something about middle fingers or something? Tell me about that.
It wasn't at the kids, it was at the gentleman.
Who's the gentleman?
I only know him by his name, Sapito.
So, okay.
So he's a guy, he gets all the kids together, so they're screaming and yelling, and they're doing all this crazy stuff, and I'm like, stop already. And I asked him, I said, please stop. I don't like the yelling. I just, I'm sort of gonna break down.
No, take your time. What is the crazy stuff that Sapito has these kids doing? Tell me about that.
He used to ride a four-wheeler. And he would come around the house, and I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Then he'd have the kids on the back, no helmets, no nothing. And I'm like, stop already. The one time I went out there, he almost hit me. He's like, missed you. Jesus Christ, really? And I'm like, I just can't deal with it. I have an injury right now. I have aneurysm on my left kidney artery. If he hit me, he'd have killed me.
So was it on last Friday that you were kind of giving him the middle finger then? Is that what I was understanding?
I may have given him the middle finger because they're just out there and I took a picture and he's like, oh, go take more pictures. I'm like, because...
What other kind of crazy things is he having these kids do? Is it something where he's...
Domination. Have them exercise and scream and yell, and the kids are like, we're tired, stop, we're tired.
Is he like a coach, or do they play sports or something?
I have no idea. And he's like, come on, we need to get moving. And he just, the kids are like, no, we don't stop. He's like, he can't stop.
Is he the father of one of those kids that live?
I have no idea.
You're not sure?
I don't know who he is. I just know that. And I asked him, I said, please. I said, one of my friends was murdered when I was very young.
Combat's underway, operator.
And,
secure all zones.
She was bound and gagged, and she, the guy thought he killed her. And she screamed, and so every time there was a kid screaming, I keep thinking, I found Elizabeth.
Tell me about that. Whoa.
So, and I asked him, I said, so people, please, these kids screaming like this, it's triggering me. I don't want to do this, And you're like, you're a liar, you're this, you're that. I'm like, really?
Have you ever been a victim of anything like robbery or anything like that before?
In Jersey, yes.
Okay. Were you like robbed like at a store, a gas station, or describe that to me?
We were selling tools out of the back of my car for some
Friendly
company.
securing zone
and
C.
we stopped at a stop sign. It was myself and the driver and four people with me. And they entered the car and just took everything.
Who's they? Who can I do that to?
Combat's underway, operator. Secure all zones.
Okay. They were in the neighborhood.
You were able to get them reported, and they were able
We
to...
reported it, but they never found them.
Okay. Did those guys ever harass you ever again or anything like
No,
that?
because it wasn't where I lived.
Okay. Have you ever been a victim of violence at your home that wasn't someone you knew, a random person coming and hurting you or something like that?
No.
Okay. Anyone's ever broken into your house before in New Jersey or in Michigan or in Florida or anything like that?
They broke into the house when we lived in Palm Plains.
Where's that? Is that in New Jersey?
Yeah, that's up in Jersey.
And when you said they broke into, describe that to me. What happened?
The bunch of kids that my brother had, and he had a dirt bike and everything, so they stole his dirt bike and they stole some other stuff.
Sure. And were you home when that happened?
Due to the nature of the events described here, Susan is highly likely to have developed an intolerance to loud noises, which would explain her outbursts of anger whenever the children approached her home. This could be something related to misophonia, a disorder which is not yet officially recognized, but can result in violent and non-violent outbursts due to trauma like the one we see with Susan. We would only find out the extent to which this trauma affected her at a later stage of the investigation. For now, officers are far more interested in the details of the shooting and begin to probe deeper into her story.
And describe to me, AJ, you've only had these arguments with her a few times, but what I'm confused about is that we're talking about her banging on it 3 times, and then there's the pause, and there's everything else you just described to Detective Stipp. And you said that this was the time that she was going to come and kill you. That's confusing to me because it sounds like you guys really didn't have any other times that she was going to come and kill you?
And she was saying she's going to kill me. I mean, she was verbalizing it. She would say, I'm going to kill you.
Okay.
That's how, it's not like this is the time she's going to come and kill me.
So I'm trying to get into your mind, and I'm trying to be brought to that moment to why you believe that. And we were talking, you were in the bathroom, then you were in the kitchen. I mean, I know that she's saying something, and you're inside your house, and she's on the other side of that wall and that door. Were you able to ever see her to see if she had anything in her hands? There's no people, thanks. Okay. Were you able to look through a window or anything to see if she had anything in her hands or anything? Okay. So you don't know if what's going on, but you can hear her voice.
Yes.
And you said that she's hitting the wall hard enough that the door, that the mirror's moving.
Yes.
And she's hitting the door. Okay. And there's no peephole or anything like that. You don't know who all's out there, but you can hear her voice. Okay. What made you shoot that spot on the door? It sounds like you had some experience with the gun, so describe, get into that moment, what happened?
I grabbed the gun and shooting like a leaf, and then when she down there, when she screamed, I was like, stop, 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 go away, move away. She wouldn't move away. Finally, I'm going to kill you, and that was the last time.
Allies taking zone C.
Okay, was there a spot you picked or something like that?
Zone compromised.
There was a door, I knew she was at the door.
So since the last time you and I talked, I went in the house.
We've secured all zones.
Did the stuff inside the house as far as photographing, looking at where everything is at related to where the door is. And you said you had shot from the kitchen. So when you come in, it's like a
table.
Kitchen table?
The table that's there, the 2 seats with the table.
Okay.
That's where I shot from.
That's where you shot from. Okay. Like right next to it?
Yes.
Or like further back?
It was.
Okay, how were you holding the gun when you fired it?
Like
With
that.
2 hands?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, you were initially in the kitchen when, well, you went to the restroom and then you were in the kitchen looking for your phone while she was pounding on the door. And you said that you believe it was between 2 and 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Was that total time before, from when the first pounding started to the time that you fired the shot, 2 to 5 minutes, or you think it was shorter
All
time
capture
than that, or
zones in
longer?
friendly hands. Zone C is at risk.
Well, by the time I shot at least 5 minutes.
Okay. Did she ever try to open that glass sliding door or open the door handle or anything like that, or was it just a pounding?
We're losing A. Orders are to take all the zones and keep them secure.
You said that you kept the firearm
Allies
in the
moving
chest
on
in the
zone
bedroom, so at some point,
Danger.
did you go, so you thought about it and said, I might need this, or?
Absolutely. I mean, I got terrified. I mean, I was so terrified she was going to come in and kill me.
Okay, so you left the kitchen area, and that's when you went to your bedroom?
Yes.
Okay. Well, where was the other gun at that time, do you know?
I thought it was right there.
The Ruger?
I thought the river was
Friendly
right there.
forces
I mean,
securing
we thought,
A.
yeah, it was, but you said that you used the 380, right?
Yeah.
When you fired the gun? Okay. Is there any reason why you chose that gun aside the other one? They were both loaded,
Secure the
right?
zone.
Both loaded. I was just the one I picked up.
Okay,
Zone
did you handle
compromised.
the other gun at all?
Honest to God, don't remember.
Okay. Because the reason I asked is when we went in there, the 22 was actually on top of the 380. So, I'm just trying to figure out how it is that you went in there, took the 380,
Allies
fired the
securing
380,
zone B.
went back, and you would have put it back in there, but then the other gun was on top of it. So I'm just trying to figure out if maybe, you're just moving stuff around
The zone is
after
ours.
things happened or something fell. I'm just trying to understand.
It may have fallen off the bed. I don't know. I just remember looking for my phone, and I just remember I put the gun back in, so there was all kinds of papers in there, so it didn't flip-flop.
And is that an actual, like, do you use it for trash, or those important papers that were in
Those
there?
were papers that I keep.
Okay. All right. So you said it was about, let me ask you this, and maybe this can kind of help us get a better time frame. From the time that you called 911, these kids are on my property, and they're yelling, what happened that first 911 call? That time that you hung up with 911, how long before she showed up and she was pounding on the door? After you hung up?
10 minutes.
10 minutes? Okay. So about 10 minutes after you disconnected and they said, hey, we have deputies on the way, 10 minutes after that is when she started pounding on your door. Okay. And you say anywhere from, you believe from 2 to 5 minutes. Okay.
Barrier deployed.
Is there...
Progress update. Mission ending soon. Outcome unclear. Allies moving on to zone C.
2 to 5 minutes from the first time she pounded to the time where you felt in danger enough to pull the trigger.
Yeah.
Okay. And how many times, I know this is...
Zone compromised.
How many times do you think she was looking in the door? During that time frame that you believe is about 2 to 5 minutes?
She just kept pounding it.
Activating defense system.
So just
She was
more than 5, more than 15?
It had to be... I can't even speculate. I just remember her pounding and screaming.
Hostile echelon. That's a win.
Okay. And did you call 911 immediately after?
As soon as I got my phone.
Okay. How much time do you think after you fired the shot?
A few seconds.
So within a minute?
Within a minute,
And you
yes.
immediately called 911?
Yes.
Did you call anyone else before?
No.
Did you call anyone else after?
No, I don't think so because you guys were here. I mean, you guys came right away.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
What's with the racial statements that everyone's saying that you made? I mean, have you ever used the N-word and they're using it against you? Have you said it in passing or something?
I have no idea. But it could have been I was speaking Hungarian and instead of English.
So you're native Hungarian? Is there...
My father was Hungarian, my mother was Polish, so we spoke mainly Hungarian in the household.
Okay. And is there, have you ever spoke Hungarian to these kids or anything like that?
Yeah, and they looked at me and they said, stop making up your language.
These are also lies, as neighbors often stated that they overheard Susan yelling slurs at the children, and especially on the night of the incident, she was heard yelling racist remarks.
So we're just trying to figure out where some of these, we heard that you said the F word and the B word. These are what the kids are saying.
I definitely dropped F-bombs.
Okay, and what are you saying the F word to?
Pick your fucking shit up.
Referring to stuff on the ground or something? Mm-hmm. And when we say the B word, what are you referring to that? Who are you talking to? What are you saying when you use that language?
B word.
Yeah, which I'm assuming is bitch, but I don't really know.
Okay.
Have you said that word to them?
Remember.
Or is it bastard? Possibly bastard?
I don't know, could have been either one.
Yeah.
Are those words that you've used when you're outside around the kids or something like that?
I guess if they were really annoying me, I may have let one slip.
Okay. And how would they really annoy you? Like just
screaming. They would scream.
The screaming, and that would maybe let one slip. Okay.
But the girls would do something so stupid. I've never seen anything like this before. They would go face to face with one another and see who could scream louder.
Yeah. 5
feet outside my door. I'm like, what the hell are you doing? I'm like, why? We want to see who screams louder. I'm like, take it over to your house.
Sure. Okay. So Detective Stith has been talking to you about the timeline, okay? And some of the work we've done. Now, this is a picture that I draw. I'm not an artist at all, but when I tell you some of the work we've done, we spoke to all the people. This is your house, by the way.
Mix of attack and defense.
We'll put an S for you. We spoke to everybody in these buildings. We spoke to them all in these buildings, and we talked to anybody that had cameras that would see different areas.
Secure the capture zones and neutralize
they hear things. We're able to hear audio. We're able to hear things like that. And everyone when we interviewed, I pretty much got the same, Detective Stith and we all got the same statement from every single person we interviewed. We lined up, well, we didn't line them up. These people were interviewed in different locations. Some of them were interviewed in different buildings in different places. I interviewed them at different houses, and all these people provided me similar statements, okay? No one that provided this. Now, these people could hear her talking, okay? Because she was talking loudly. You said that you could hear the wall, and I agree with that, okay? She made a statement, something to the effect of, why'd you take my kid's iPad? Okay, somebody heard her say that.
I never touched an iPad. I never saw the iPad. I don't know what this iPad is about.
A tablet or something like that?
Again, no tablet, no iPad, no electronics at all. It was never there. Or at least I never saw it.
Okay.
So I have no idea.
maybe she's wrong, but was she asking you about a tablet or accusing you of something with a tablet or an iPad? I don't know if it's an iPad or a tablet.
Capture zone contested.
Okay, you seem unsure of some of the stuff she's saying through the door. Did she say you're not really sure if she said that?
She could have said it during her rants.
Okay. She's saying these things. The thing is everything that we've learned so far, I have not learned of her ever saying to you that she wanted to get into the house. It sounded more like she wanted to talk to you outside of the house.
How do you want to talk outside the house when you're banging and screaming?
Yeah.
That's not reasonable.
One of the people said that she said, "Come outside."
That's not what. Come outside.
It's not reasonable and prudent. I mean, you just don't, bang and expect someone to come out. Yeah, I think I'll come outside so you can,
Well, I know.
Seriously.
What I'm learning, what these people said, is that she was saying to come outside. She wanted to confront you about something. She wanted you to come outside. Do you remember her making statements and asking you to come out there and talk to her?
Engaged.
I don't recall.
Okay, so you don't remember that, and you seem unsure about some of the statements she made about the tablet. No one that we've interviewed so far has made any statements about her saying that she wanted to kill you.
That's what I heard.
Okay. You said you were so in fear and you're shaking. Is your memory affected regarding this incident in some way?
I just remember being terrified that she was banging and screaming, and I just remember hearing her say, "I'm going to kill you."
This is the exact moment that Susan realizes she's been caught red-handed. There were no threats made, and Ajike was only an angry mother, not a crazed killer. Additionally, the iPad being mentioned here is one of the belongings the children left in the field after they ran off to tell their mother about what happened. Witness statements indicated that Susan picked up the iPad and refused to return it.
Her son, early in the night, before I called the police, I don't know how old he is, but he said, "Well, make sure you get killed tonight."
Which son? She has two sons.
I know. It was one of her sons, but he was there. He's like, "Make sure you get killed. Make sure that you know." I mean, what the hell is going on?
Has this person ever showed you a weapon or anything like that?
No, but I mean, the little kid said it, and then all of a sudden his mom's coming over and she's banging and screaming.
Now, I asked you this earlier, and you said you can't see out there, but you've only seen her a few times. What means does she have to harm you through the wall?
Like I said, she was banging so much.
Don't compromise.
Now that house,
which I couldn't believe because it's a cement block house.
That was my next question. So it's a cement block house, and the door, the deadbolt was activated, right?
The deadbolt was activated.
Okay.
Right? And you just didn't have the chain lock?
I was going to say, I remember I didn't have the chain. I'm not quite sure if I had the deadbolt on or not.
Okay. I believe the last time we talked, you said you had the deadbolt, but you didn't want to get that close to the door to do the chain. Is from what I recall. And you said you had the extra long deadbolt just installed recently?
Charles did it.
Okay, Charles.
So that's what the deadbolt's activated, the door's closed, it's a block house. I'm just trying to understand what made you so in fear of this woman if you have these things between you.
When we had spoken previously on the other time when she screamed at me and I found that face, I said, "Whatever you want, I'm so sorry." She followed me. I followed behind me. I went into the house. I'm like, what the hell? I mean, she gave me the creeps.
What happened during that incident where she followed you? What was the conversation?
She said, "Oh, we're calling my kids." I'm like, "Okay, whatever. Yes, I'm sorry. I apologize." And I finally said, I'm going to leave this alone. I don't need, to get killed in the street.
Mission
Did she tell you if she had recordings of you saying that? Or like one of your kids? So you apologize, and she continued to follow you
Secure all
anyway?
zones from the opposing force.
How far did she follow you?
Like right up to where I go in by the wood.
By the fence?
Yeah.
Okay. And then what happened after that?
She finally just went
Friendly
away.
forces on zone B.
That was like a month or two ago.
Okay. And was that an incident dealing with she had the dog and the kids were over there?
And warranted.
There was something different. Okay. I think that was. I want to see. Was it April? Does that sound right? With the
Zone contested.
you had called because everyone was over there and the dog was over there. Does that sound about right? Okay. But that was a different incident than what you're talking about. Okay. And where were you at when you had that conversation when she started following you? Where were you?
I was in the street.
Okay. Like by the mailboxes or?
No, I was close to her driveway.
Close to her driveway, okay. Did she make any threats of physical violence to you then?
She was following you and that made you feel creepy, right? Or creepy out, I think is the word you said. Okay, but there wasn't any threats of physical violence then. And you said,
compromise. The conversation was over. Why would you still pursue someone?
Was she still saying things? Was she still?
No, she just followed me. And I just felt like, at any point in time, she could knock me down or do something. I was like, oh my God. And I didn't want to tangle with her anymore.
It is clear that whatever Susan says cannot be trusted. But why is she going so far to lie? What is she planning to do by twisting the narrative so heavily? Fortunately, detectives know the answers to this already, and they're about to confront Susan with it.
All right, that's new to me. I mean, it's completely new to me. I don't know where the hell that came from.
so, Susan, I'm looking at this from the outside here, and this really is not adding up to me. You used the word reasonable and prudent earlier. That's an interesting series of words to use. That's like a series of words that we use as law enforcement officers when we try to look at things. And there's a big jump here that you're making logically that I can't seem to make the jump. I'm having a really hard time getting there. You've known this woman for 1.5 to 2 years. Your only communications were 2 to 3 times. The dog's pooping, and then there was another time where you called her, you said, I'm sorry about calling your kids the names, and she followed behind you. You thought that was creepy. She's never threatened you. She's never displayed a firearm towards you. She starts yelling on your patio area, banging hard on your door, which your door is locked, and then you're scared. Now you're saying that you're scared, which, okay, I can get to that. I can get to that point that you're scared. There's someone knocking on your door.
No, it wasn't knocking. It was pounding.
Pounding. There's someone pounding on your door. Right. There's someone pounding on your door. They're pounding on your door, and I can't get to the point where pounding on the door leads to you being hurt or killed. I can't get.
Because I thought she was going to break the door down. The door, you could see that it was all repaired and re-repaired and all that crap like that. So I never felt that door was secure.
You have an extended deadbolt, and you've never been in any kind of violent situation where someone's kicked in your door or like Kool-Aid Man through your entire wall. There has not been that situation. So I'm trying to do the reasonable and prudent. I'm trying to come into your shoes there, and I'm having a hard jump there because describe to me, AJ, what does she look like?
Tall black woman, heavy set,
Okay. Does she have a very muscular? You've only known her for 1.5 years. You only had so many communications. I mean, is she like a muscular person that's able to, like, I don't know, do extreme feats of strength? Does she weight train in her front yard? Help me understand this.
No, I don't.
That's what I'm trying. I'm having a hard time with this.
He's just trying to understand how we got from the point of someone
creepy. But to get to, she's gonna get through the wall is where I can't get there. I don't understand. What if, and I was thinking about this earlier, what if the police officer had already arrived and she is loud and she's still yelling, and now the officer's standing in front of the door and he does some knocks, but she's still on that darn patio yelling, and you're shooting, you can't see, there's no peephole, there's no window, there's nothing, and then you shoot, and what if the darn officer was on the other side of the door? You see what I mean? And obviously she's still running her mouth, she's still going, but you don't know what's on the other side of that door.
Hopefully he would have introduced himself.
I sure hope so. I mean, and that's what some of the issues are, that I can't get there, and I don't understand entirely what was going on in your mind, and I don't see how that is entire. Were you on alcohol or anything like that? I gotta ask these questions. Were there anything in your mind that would impair yourself in your judgments?
I took Belgica earlier in the day.
What is that?
It was for my back.
Okay, is that a narcotic?
Yes.
I'm not a muscle relax, I'm guessing here.
No, it's a pain reliever.
Okay, it's a pain reliever. Mm-hmm. And does that have like something on the bottle that it would?
It's a film.
Okay, does that like don't use motor vehicles or something like that? What does it do to you? How does it make you feel?
just makes me sleepy.
Domination.
That's called,
This
what is it
scenario
called?
is kinetic. Plan accordingly.
BUCA.
Okay.
Does that have to do with your artery issue in your kidney?
No, I had a car wreck. So I had a fusion on my lower back.
Capture all zones and keep them secure.
Laminectomy in my lower back. And I've got this thing that goes backwards. So I have some
Here's the
issues.
zone.
Okay.
And I have a torn rotator cuff.
Okay. And do you have issues with any kind of previous from the car accident? I have to ask. A head injury which would impair your memory or affect your memory or anything like that?
I don't remember. I think I hit my head on the steering wheel from the accident.
Okay. Do you suffer time and spatial memory issues where you can't remember certain amounts of time and things like that? And the reason that I asked that is you had indicated that this was somewhere between like 5 to 10 minutes or something. Am I getting that right, Detective Stiff? Okay. From the cameras that we've looked at in the area here, this incident did not last for 5 to 10 minutes. Okay. Now, from the people that we spoke to, there's aspects of this that I can agree about. She's talking loud. She's banging on that door. We're going to agree with that. But the actual number of knocks, you did 3 knocks, and then you said there was a pause.
And I never said 3.
Well, you said bang, 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 and then she stopped. Which I counted 3. Now,
Okay.
if there was something different, you can tell me. I'm just remembering earlier. You said bang, bang, bang. There's 3. Then she stopped, and then she continued to, and then what happened. Nothing has led me to believe, as an investigator, that it was like 5 to 10 minutes. Okay.
Okay, maybe it just seemed like it was longer.
With this information, a reasonable conclusion can be made.
A.
Susan knows about Florida's stand your ground laws, and there would be indications further along in the interrogation that she even researched it prior to the shooting. This would explain why there are so many inconsistencies in her alibi, and why the detective pointed out Susan's use of the words reasonable and prudent. If her entire alibi is taken at face value, then she would most likely get away with the murder. But these detectives have already started dismantling her lies, piece by piece.
Okay.
Probably because, you know, I'm adrenaline rush and just getting so upset. And
Sure. Whenever adrenaline comes in, it can make things seem like they stretch out. From some of the other statements we've got, some of the things that we've learned, it sounds more like there was 3 knocks, and then there was 3 more, and then she was shot. It sounds like this was very quick. It sounds like this was like within a span of less than 20 seconds is what I would say. Is it possible that your time is off on this?
it could be.
Okay.
I mean, to me, it felt like forever.
Okay. So if this is like what's being described as a 20-second, this is a brief encounter. It's a brief encounter with loud banging, with loud yelling. The statements that some of the statements that you're saying occurred, like I'm going to kill you and those kind of threats. No one else has heard you. No one else has heard us make those statements. Okay. I'm worried that some of the prior experiences you had in your life that we've talked about today, they are a traumatic experience, sexual violence against you, when you were a kid, all those people coming in trying to get you, that there's something going on in your head. Are you not sure about some of the things we've talked about today? Regarding some of the things you're saying that you heard, is it possible she never threatened you at all?
Oh, I swear to God, I thought she said, I'm going to kill you. I mean, that's why I just panicked. As soon as those words came out of her mouth, I was like, Jesus Christ, she's going to kill me.
Okay. And how did you imagine yourself being killed? Remembering that there's that block wall, that door, how was she going to be able to do that? What makes you think that she was able to do that?
She was still pounding, but that she couldn't come right through the glass wall. I mean, the glass door.
Well, we talked about pounding on the door. Did she ever pound on the glass wall? Was it a window or wall? Help me.
It's doors. It's sliders.
Glass sliding door.
Yeah.
She pounded on that?
I don't know. All I kept thinking is she's going to gain entry and she's going to kill me.
And that's why I asked you earlier if you recalled if she tried to, was that door locked, the sliding glass door?
Yes.
As I say, do you have like anything?
I had, I think there was a wood piece
in the slider? Okay. And you don't recall if she tried that door?
I just remember lots of pounding.
Friendly forces on Zone B.
To me, it was just an enormous amount of pounding, screaming, yelling, and, I felt like she was going to come through that door.
And I think Detective Fender touched on it, like in your head, either during the panic, during all these thoughts, what did you feel that was going to happen?
And he kept coming there, beat the shit out of me until I was dead. I mean, that's where I felt. I mean, I don't understand why she came over my house. If there was all these issues in the family, why don't you just call somebody? You know, that's, to me, that's what you would do. If
Friendly forces securing A.
That's a normal thing to do. If something happens to me, I call the police. You know, like, okay, you know, the kids are being lying or she's banging, you know. But when I didn't call my phone and everything, I was just like, shit. You know, I honest to God felt she was going to kill me.
To put things into perspective, Susan had ended her call reporting the children at 8:59 p.m. The gunshot was heard at 9:01 p.m. This means she is very evidently exaggerating the time frame this occurred in an attempt to incriminate Ajike. Further evidence from the crime scene would also indicate that things occurred far differently than what Susan stated.
I just am having a really hard time making this jump here that this unarmed person on the other side of the wall is somehow gonna get into your house and kill you. I'm just really having a hard time getting there. I've been doing this job as a homicide investigator for several years, and I've seen houses that are made out of like pretty much paper mache. Okay, doors that are so thin, like walls of wood you could just push through. And this is a block house with a solid door. I've seen cases before where there is an angry spouse and I'm let me back in the house, you can't throw me out, and they'll kick the wall as hard as they can, and they're not getting in some of these doors open inwards, outwards. I don't know which way your door opens. Which way does it open? It opens outward?
Zone B is compromised.
Okay. So it opens inwards. Okay. So they work on these doors and they're not even able to make entry, and they just give up. I'm really having a hard time understanding like how you. If you could go back in time, would you not do what you did? Would you take it back and I don't know, wait however long it took for the police to get there? I'm trying to understand that. Would you feel like you did something wrong here?
I did what I felt I had to. I honestly thought she was going to kill me. I mean, that's all I felt. I just felt that terror. I didn't show terror.
So I went out to the house that evening, when I got you down there. And I tested the door. First of all, I looked at the door. We processed the door just to see what areas might have been touched by AJ. I looked at the door frame where it had been repaired. It looked like there was a type of putty or something used where the wood frame had been separated. I examined the deadbolt lock. The strike plates were in there pretty fastened, pretty securely. The bottom lock, just the doorknob lock. And even when the door closed, I stood on the outside. There were no indentations, no dents in the door anywhere that I could see. And I pounded on the door pretty hard, and that was with the door unlocked completely. There was no lock secured, and that door was very sturdy. I'm not trying to take away the fears of being scared and everything, because I think that is a legitimate and scary situation to be put in. But to justify to go from being scared to a point where you're taking deadly force on someone who's standing on the other side of the door and you don't even know where you're shooting at. That's a big jump, and I think that's where Detective Pender is.
It could have been the one of the kids standing there or something.
But it was her standing there, and I heard her voice.
Sure, some people don't talk.
Regardless of that fact, as I was saying, to go from that, and I didn't even have any locks, and I'm pounding on it. And yes, there were our forensic technicians were inside looking, and yes, things were vibrating, but they also stated that the door didn't seem like it was going to move, and it barely budged, even when the door unlocked. So. And that's why it's important for us to go through these things to try to determine, to try to put ourselves in your position, in your mind at that time as much as possible. But to get that, help us try to understand that a little bit more, to get to that point from a fairly secure door. Because like he said, it's true, we've gone to some of these trailers where you could pretty much push the door open and
That's not your house. Your house is pretty secure. That landlord did a good job, I guess, keeping everything secure. It looked like everything was good.
With this, there is reason for detectives to believe that Susan is the one at fault beyond a shadow of a doubt. What is left is to get either a verbal confession or a contradictory statement from Susan to determine whether this was a premeditated murder that used the Florida Stand Your Ground laws as a cover-up.
Okie dokie.
Were you able to go to the bathroom?
Yes.
All right. So while we were in there going over everything, and my supervisor came in, he's actually kind of been listening in a little. And something that caught my ear, like when we were talking earlier, you had mentioned the words, and I asked you to repeat it because I wanted to make sure I heard you correctly. You had mentioned terminology like reasonable and prudent in reference to how AJ was acting at your door while she was trespassing and everything. Where did that come from, that terminology? Is that
Watching TV.
Watching TV? Okay. Like documentary stuff, or like what?
Probably just crime shows and stuff.
Crime shows, okay. And I have to ask you this: have you done any research on like the laws as far as like in Florida, as far as self-defense and things like that?
I looked at it today.
You looked at it today?
When I was on Facebook. Just some things that, they had it up on Facebook.
Describe that. What did you, specifically, what are you reading about and learning about?
They said self-defense, and I'm trying to think what the hell else I looked at today. So much crap. Mostly emails. But I just remember saying self-defense, and there was a bunch of lawyers and stuff like that.
So, prior to today, even the last time that we spoke to
Operation is green.
Very early Saturday morning, you had used some of that same kind of terminology in describing the situation that occurred at your front door. Prior to today, had you ever done any kind of research like that? And before I ask, let me just say, if we were to look through everything in your phone or your home desktop computer, is there anything kind of research on your internet history that would show that you've done research on like self-defense? Or have you ever heard of the term stand your ground?
Yes.
Have you ever done any kind of research on that?
Yes, when it was mentioned on some guy shot someone at a convenience store, and they said stand your ground now laws.
Was that like a Florida situation? Because I know every state has kind of different laws. And when was that?
Years ago.
It was years ago? So nothing recent on like your internet browser history?
I just looked it up today.
Right, but I mean other than, basically before this incident occurred at your door, but we're not talking about like a couple years ago. We're talking about within the last few months, would there be, because your internet browser, even if you delete it or you go on private browser, if you take a look at those things, because we did go through your phone, the judge signed an order for us to be able to do that. He agreed that there was reasonable enough evidence to be able to do that. So if that were the case, if we were just to look through that, would there show anything that you were looking at stand your ground or self-defense laws in Florida on the internet?
I don't know, I looked up tons of stuff.
Is there a possibility that you looked that up?
Could have been, I don't know.
The interrogation we've seen until now has displayed the detectives acting rather friendly to trick Susan into believing they want the best for her. But clearly, Susan is not cracking. This is when the lead detective decides to take a much, much different approach and confront Susan for all her horrible actions.
So, Susan, we've talked enough that I've come to a conclusion here. Are you the Susan that has done research on Stand Your Ground and has planned for this to happen? We're planning for this to happen. There's a spectrum here. Is this the Susan over here? And then there's also could be a Susan over here that was, I have a gun in the house. I'm scared. Someone is knocking on the door. I'd like them to go away. I'm just gonna, I picked up the gun and I accidentally shot the gun. There's a Susan somewhere in the world like that. You somehow found a spot in the middle where you're trying to explain this, but it doesn't actually make any sense. That within 2 minutes, because we know it's 2 minutes. Within 2 minutes, this person came over and they were able to put down a series of statements, such as, and you said this, that they came right up to and they want to have a discussion with the way that you were treating their kids that day. You said that they were able to make that sentence. I want to talk to you about the kids. I'm banging on the door. I want to talk to you about the kids. They're making statements like that. We've interviewed other people that it was a very brief interaction, and then you shot them. Now, this wasn't a long siege. It wasn't a castle siege. It didn't last for 20, 30 minutes. It was 2 minutes. So you're trying to tell us that a reasonable person would shoot somebody for less than 2 minutes of making statements outside. That doesn't make any sense. So that has to work on the scale here. Where is Susan? Did she plan this? Is she a cold-blooded killer that plans things? Was this an accident, or was this something that got out of hand? Is it somewhere in the middle? That makes more sense. Not what Susan's telling me. Is it somewhere in the middle? Because I know that I talked to Detective Stiff. We kind of went through your first interview. And in that first interview, you had even said to the kids, you know what, go get your mom.
No, I didn't.
You said something along the lines of when they said, I'm going to go get my mom, you said, go get her.
Go get her. Which is fine. I want to talk to an adult, too. I don't want to talk to a kid. So this has happened a few times during our interview also. You have these, I don't remember. There's been a couple times that you don't remember. And these are important things to remember, and you're not able to remember them. I believe that you do remember them, and that worries me. That makes me feel like you're not telling us it because you are that you are Susan, the person that is planning. I'm just trying to figure out who's sitting in front of me here. Is it over here? I've been planning this. I picked up the gun and I was waiting for her to come over because it was very quick. It was 2 minutes. Or it was, I had the gun in my hand and I made a mistake, but now I've dug my heels in and I've made these statements so far to Detective Stiff about a mistake I made, and I feel like I can't go back. I don't want to feel like you're at a point that you can't go back. We are all human. And I'm going to tell you this, 99% of the people that sit in front of me in this room, they do not tell me the truth like the entire time. But then we get to a point where I show them that everything they're saying actually doesn't make any sense. And I always tell them, I say, look, we want to go the path of least resistance. We don't want to go down the path of embarrassment or humiliation or I made a mistake. They don't want to do that, but I show them everything. And they say, you know what? And I don't hold it against them. I don't take anything personally. If you had said something before that was not true and you felt like you had to go down that path to protect yourself or whatever it is, but it's not true, this is your opportunity to tell us. And I'm not going to hold it against you. I'm not going to say Susan is a jerk or a liar or anything like that. I'm going to say what Susan's saying now makes a little bit more sense for me and Detective Stiff. And this is that opportunity. If something is different than what you originally told us, I might be able to make sense out of it because I know your history now. I know that there was things that happened to you when you were in school. I know that you have gone through hard experiences, and maybe that influenced why you said the things you said before. But I can tell you right now, what we've learned, what we've discussed all leading up to this, it doesn't make any sense. So this is your opportunity to actually tell us that something that does make sense. I'm not going to hold it against you. I'm not going to get mad. But whenever AJ was coming over that evening, what happened? What happened? Bring me to that moment when you had the gun in your hand. What were you thinking?
All I wanted her was to go away. I just, I felt she was going to come through the door and kill me. I'm sorry, that's what I felt. I just felt she was going to come through the door and kill me. But it was so,
Did you feel bad for what happened? Because the first time that we talked, there was a point where I informed you that AJ had passed away. And I wasn't sure if you had been aware of that or not. I know they transported her. Yeah. So when I informed you of that, you showed emotion. You showed what appeared to me to be at least somewhat of a remorse for what had happened. So do you feel bad for what had happened?
Absolutely.
Do you feel bad for the children? So, and I think, Detective Pender we're trying to give you the opportunity to try to explain some of these discrepancies in the story, the things that don't really add up or make sense. And maintaining that
this will be a fun report to write.
You were in fear for your life.
Yes.
It just doesn't make sense. And I feel like at this point, today you really haven't, and I'm not judging you, you know, everybody processes things differently, so I understand that. But you haven't really seemed remorseful for today, at least, for what had happened.
Oh, God. It just makes me sick. I don't know, I can't take it back. It's transpired, it's in the past, I don't know what the hell to do. It's just probably be shutting down again.
Okay. Do you think that's a trauma response or something? I know you said you had gone through a lot of flat affect and things like that in the past.
I mean, it's a horrible situation. And inner conflict is horrible because, you know, it goes against my faith. I broke a commandment. I feel horrible for what I did.
From this point onwards, Susan cannot run from the consequences of her actions. She has been caught, and officers are about to make it very clear the kind of situation she is in.
Okay. So, looking back on it now, and do you think that she was actually going to get through that door? I mean, be honest with us, because
she was coming through the door. As God is my witness, I thought she was going to come through that door. I'm sorry, that's just what I felt.
So, I mean, at this point, like, we've talked to you, we've talked to a lot of people and gone through the evidence. We've discussed all of this with the state attorney's office as well. You know, after talking to you for several hours on Saturday morning and then today, I feel that there was a level of fear, but from everything I've seen, it doesn't rise to the level